Welcome filmmakers, fans, and friends to this Wild West episode of Indie Cinema Showcase. We're your hosts, Christina Carmona.
And I'm Nando Luis Robin.
We are here at Dry Creek, an old western town located in Parrish, Florida.
I'm going to be talking to Les McDowell about Dry Creek, and then we're going to be going on a tour of this location, and we are taking you along.
And we are so excited, so let's get started.
Let's do this.
And we've made it to Dry Creek. Now, Les, why don't you just take us on a tour and show us everything you have here?
Okay, but you got to walk like a cowboy.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
I've got a fat horse. Well, this is Dry Creek, and if you look over here, here's the mill off to the left.
Nice.
And we've actually got a big, we can turn the water wheel on, and it can actually work, which is kind of cool.
Awesome. And now, is this just a facade, really?
Yeah, just a
Okay.
facade. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
And every time when we shoot something at Dry Creek, we build something, you know. So
Right.
that's kind of it. For that scene, there was we needed horses out on the outside of town, and
So it's build as you go.
build as you go. Yeah,
All right, cool. And we have a fish co here.
yeah,
Very nice.
yeah. And a Western set's got to look lived in, look old. A lot
Right.
of times you see a low-budget Western being done, and it's done with plywood and stuff.
Right.
It's got to look lived in.
And now, did you build this all yourself? Did you have help?
I'd like to say I did,
All right.
as far as build it myself, but I didn't. I had, after I got started, my Facebook went overnight to 5,000 people, and so many people love the Western.
Right.
And they came out and helped. A lot of people helped, and it brought wood, and I got wood from different places, old fences and whatever.
Nice.
Now, I have to ask, are those mostly authentic, stuff for blacksmith?
Yes, matter of fact, that is, and matter of fact, if you could bring a blacksmith back from the 1880s, he could actually do his work there.
And they'll fit right in.
And we
Yeah.
could bring more tools out. That anvil came from Little House on the Prairie. And the last week of shooting there, the guy that ran the property there gave me that anvil. I brought it all the way from Simi, California.
Very cool. Now, what was the first thing you built? What was the first building?
Well, over here, I put up a false front and a boardwalk.
Okay.
And I do cowboy poetry, and I did it for a set. And I thought, hey, that'll make a neat set. And then somebody said, hey, wait a minute, let's build more. And we just kept building more.
Nice, nice. And so we were just in the sheriff's. Is that the only
Inside?
inside?
No,
Yeah.
right here is inside, and they just did a motion picture called, it's a short, called The Hanging of William Kane, and they made a bank out of the inside. It looks great.
Oh, nice. And I
And-
see you have some costumes in there.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And we've got all of our costumes too. We got a lot of costumes and tall boots and nice hats. Like for instance, this hat right here came from Baron Hats out of Los Angeles. Tommy Lee wore a hat like this, so I called him, and they made his hat, and they made me one. So I try and get them from Baron's Hats in Burbank.
Okay, so your hat is way cooler than mine.
No, I like yours.
You're just way cooler than me in general.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, so you have the church here. I see you also have a little outside church here where you can...
Yeah, the reason for that is the television series that we did, Dry Creek, we put an outside, we had a scene, so we built an outside church out there. And in
Right.
Florida, they used to have, I forgot what they call them now, but there was outside churches because it was so hot inside. And not only that, look at our church, the interior is not that big to get cameras and stuff in there, so we would shoot out there.
Very nice.
And I see the area that I'm staying away from is the Hangman's Gala.
All right.
It'll end bad for me.
I think I've got the only Hangman's Gallows in the country. And that was just put up for this one R.J. Hendricks's film called The Hanging of William Cain, and it's just going to be a monster. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I mean, what is the upkeep for something like this?
It's bad. It's really hard because you're using old lumber, you're using this, you're constantly propping up, you know, and working on it. So the upkeep's a lot. It really is.
Right. Now, are you planning on building any more?
It just kind of depends. A lot of times now, a production company will come in and they'll say, I need a bank. Right. And so like the last film, they put a bank in the inside of the general store. Now the next one that comes in, when they come in again, they're going to make it back into a general store, you know. Oh,
nice. All right, so what are these last few, a couple here? That's just, I mean, I guess that can fit in for anything. You can just kind of dress it up.
Yeah, I had Michael Landon tell me on the Little House set that always have something behind, something you can see to make the set look bigger, and that's what these are. There's a well over here, and then there's the feed store, and we can back a wagon up to it with a team and have people loading hay or sacks of grain, just anything like that. It looks like a busy town.
This is really cool. Yeah. Really cool. I'm from the Bronx, so I just know big cities, and right now I'm feeling like I'm at home. I don't know what happened, but it's awesome.
Maybe you got a little country in you.
Maybe. Well, thank you for the tour. This place is so cool.
Thanks for coming out.
Of course.
Hey guys, I'm here with Les McDonald, the owner of Dry Creek, a western town located right here in Parrish, Florida. Les, welcome to the show. Thanks for having us.
And well, welcome to Dry Creek.
It's a pleasure. This, guys, you don't understand. This place is amazing. So let's start off. How did you get into the business of westerns?
You know, I'm a baby boomer, and I know I look 25, but
so much younger than
yeah. But I grew up on Roy Jean and Hoppy, and just never grew up, and always wanted this. When I was young, Dad used to take us out in Simi, California, to Corriganville, and that's where they shot a lot of the movies and old television shows of the 50s and 60s, and I just fell in love with it.
Now you mentioned, we were talking about a little bit before, and like you mentioned, like you've been able to meet some of these like famous stars like Roy Rogers and stuff like that. How were those experiences growing up as a child?
It was neat. I mean, for Roy to meet him, my dad was a carpenter, and he would come back. They were building in California, and he was a carpenter. We came from Illinois, and he'd say, "Hey, I went by Roy Rogers' ranch." And so after church on Sunday, we'd get in the old '59 Plymouth or a Pontiac car, and with the family go out. And that's what we did. And we drove down the driveway, and here he comes out. And he was in a Corvair, which he always advertised. And I poked my head up to the window, and I says, "You're Roy Rogers." And he goes, "Yeah, and this is my horse." And he patted, and he sat up on the back of the seat and talked to us. Neat guy.
That's amazing. I was like, I feel like those kind of like meeting situations don't quite happen as often nowadays, like it did back in that era. Which is amazing, and like, you know, I know it surely inspired you to get into like the business of entertainment as well. So, so how did you get your starts in the business?
Well, in radio, and I got into radio because I wanted to be an actor and stuff. And in the old days, we called it the picture business. People always did radio first, and I ended up having a family and have to pay the bills, and so that's how I made my money is through radio and country radio to be exact. But then now in my later years, I'm getting to do more of the acting, which is so much fun, and I love it.
Now, I recall you were telling me you also you worked on productions like, you know, Little House on the Prairie, Bonanza. Like, how was working on those kind of sets?
Well, I didn't work on a Little House, but I was at Little House. Okay. Kevin Hagen, who played Doc Baker, was a dear friend of my wife and I's, and invited us out to the set for the last week of shooting. They were going to blow it up, if you remember the last episode. And I got to meet Landon and Lenny Gear, who supplied the horses and all that. I knew him, and so we spent the time out there, and I got to talk with Landon, and he came over, and it was just my wife and I and a couple of other people, and he was telling stories about Bonanza and stuff. And he was a really neat guy, and I asked him about the set. I said, the Little House set seems so much smaller than it does on television. And he says, come here. And he put his hand up like this here. And he says, look through there. And he says, that's what the camera sees. And he says, when I had this set built, I always put a building, an outhouse or something at the very end. You never see the end of town. And so when I was building Dry Creek here, I remember Landon coming up to me and saying, this is the way you do it. To make it look bigger.
And let me tell you, we're sitting here in the saloon jail cell area, and it doesn't matter which window or door you look through, you see something in the background. It's like it's to perfection. So.
That's thanks to Michael Landon.
Yeah. Now, how big is Dry Creek?
It's on a 40-acre ranch, which isn't real big. And they're building now on two sides of us. In the Parish, Florida, where we're at, it's starting to build up. But if you remember, they film at Universal Studios, and Los Angeles is all around that.
Right.
So we're just kind of hanging in there, and it's looking good. We're getting more calls. It's all been word of mouth. I've never advertised.
Right. Now, and you were telling me earlier, like you actually have there's major companies and like even from international companies that are interested in coming out here and shooting Westerns. Like, how is it different shooting a Western in Florida versus shooting a Western out in like California and out in that area?
Well, it is different. And I know when I was doing Dry Creek, the television series that I created that turned into this, we were nominated for best family-friendly programming, but we lost out to R.J. Hines or whatever his name is, I don't know. And Disney was there and everything. So I always wanted to show that I was in California. And I thought I was doing a Western, but I finally came to the conclusion I'm doing an Eastern. And when Ponce de Leon came here, right up through here, the first hoofed cattle, hoofed animals came through here from the Spanish before they were out west. So the West actually started here.
Well, there you go. There's the fact that you didn't know. The West started here in Florida.
Yeah.
So how do productions go about like reaching out to you to like film on the set?
Right. I don't have a website anymore. I hate to say it. I'm 68 years old right now, and I don't want to say that I'm running out of the fire of my belly is cooling off, but I just don't go and promote it and everything. When I get a call or they get a hold of me through Facebook, or we've had a lot of production people here from Orlando, and man, they tell somebody and then they tell somebody, and it's just kind of been word of mouth.
Well, there you guys. You guys are seeing it here. So if you guys want to take advantage of a location like this, definitely reach out, because I mean this place is spectacular, and you guys will get to see it soon enough. So
thank you.
Now, speaking of book, you also wrote a book yourself about your experience in the business. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a road less, L-E-S, traveled.
Okay.
Rope and a dream. I'm a trick roper and learned from Will Rogers Jr., the famous cowboy philosopher, and just the stories of being Johnny Cash's paper boy in Casita Springs, and then opening for Johnny Cash, and just all the stories that's happened through my life, and stories about the Comedy Store and Freddie Prinze and David Letterman and the Little House chapter and stuff. And my wife and I going on our honeymoon from Lake Tahoe to Sacramento on a covered wagon, and me having a wagon train, and just stuff like that.
I mean, it's honestly like, I'm definitely going to be checking it out, because like I got the opportunity before we actually started recording to sit on his front porch and just listen to him tell stories. And it was like a dream come true. It's like listening to all these Westerns, all these tales. It's amazing. So if any of that is in the books, I definitely suggest you guys pick it up and take a look at it.
You know, the older you get, the longer your stories get. Just know that.
This is true. This is true. Well, Les, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I mean, this, again, beautiful location. We appreciate you having us out here. We look forward to seeing more from Dry Creek.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. So what did you think of Dry Creek?
I mean, this place is amazing. I am a city girl through and through, and when I came here, I'm living my best Western fantasy.
I mean, this is as authentic as it's gonna get. All we need are horses and guns, and we're set.
I mean, I know where we can find horses and swords.
Swords and a Western.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Indie Cinema Showcase. A big thank you to Les McDowell for chatting with us.
And as always, if you have something that you want featured on Indie Cinema Showcase, be sure to email us at icstv@yahoo.com.
And follow us on our socials, Facebook at ICSTV and Instagram at ICSTV Show. Like I said, that's our time here at Dry Creek. As they say in the movie business, that's a wrap.
See you next time, partner.
I don't believe you're welcome in this town.
On whose authority?
The sheriff's, and that would be me.
Is that so, Sheriff? Well, I got 6 little friends who say otherwise.
That's how it has to be. But first, let me ask you a question. Where'd you get that poncho? It's amazing.
Right? It's real alpaca.
It's amazing. It looks so soft.
Come touch it. So good.
So
right?
good. So good.
We should go have a drink.
It's on me.